I'm Shelly Kramer, Principal Analyst at Kramer&Co, and I'm here today with Tim Zonca, the VP of Portfolio Marketing from Commvault. We just finished up an amazing immersive experience, Tim, of your new recovery range, and it was so cool. It was so exciting. And so to me, I feel like this is a kind of a transformational moment in sort of the data protection and the cyber security space. And this is a time when we can no longer be, within an organization, I'm the data people, this is what my purview is, and you're the security people, it's like, it really is a moment where we need to come together. And I feel like Recovery Range really demonstrated that so fully. So talk with us a little bit about that.
Well, it's great to hear, your perspective, because that's what we were going for. And I think you're right. I think it's this moment in time as cyber resilience, cyber recovery becomes that much more critical because of the prevalence of ransomware, that IT teams and security teams who started working well together over the years, they have to just get fantastic at that. And so we wanted to create an environment where they both got to experience aspects of the other person's job so that we could not only help them prepare, but help them really get great at understanding the problems that they're tackling so they could then jointly do that more effectively.
Right, absolutely. Well, without question, cyber resilience pays off. And you and I talked before about the importance of having a minimum viability company approach and really understanding that from a strategic standpoint. The example from today's immersive experience of Recovery Range was a retail operator and experienced a cyber attack. And you shared when we were getting ready for this experience that you were speaking with a customer who was a retail customer. So, a lot of times I think that we throw around numbers out there, in terms of, and I think in our prior conversations, you and I've talked about the cost is about $14,000 per minute, right? Okay, so $14,000 a minute, you can do the math and how long it takes you to recover after an attack. But you shared a conversation you had with a customer who also shared some information. So talk with us a little bit about that, if you would.
You're right. I think one of the things, I have a lot of conversations with customers about the impact of an attack, which groups understand the impact of attack and which don't, and many of them have quantified it to a really precise degree. And what's interesting about it is, for people who haven't worked through or lived through an attack, $14,000 a minute or whatever the status seems just crazy. Almost every customer, almost every customer I talk to, oh yeah, in most of the time it's actually higher. For example, I was talking to a customer of ours, and they're in a project where they're getting better at their clean point identification for swifter cyber recoveries. And they said every 15 minutes one of their distro centers is down, cost them $1 million. I spoke to another customer, and he knew that every single day, and exactly how many millions of dollars it cost them for their site store. Right. And so it's $14,000 a minute it's actually
very conservative estimate.
Yeah, unfortunately, because it's really just a tremendous amount of money.
It was interesting in the Recovery Range immersive experience. One of the first things that we saw when, all the teams got notification of a breach is that call from the CEO. Don't worry, but how long is this going to take you to get it? And it really is such a stressful moment. And an all-consuming moment that I feel like one of the things that was so great about this experience is that people from different parts of an organization can really see, what exactly is involved from the moment you realize there's a problem. And I think that's an important part of our learning experience collectively.
Well, and I think it's interesting you teased out that CEO call, because there's this pressure to move as fast as you can. And I think one of the things that people experience in the range is a common request we've gotten from customers is, can you give us a safe place to do a compromised recovery? Because we want to feel how damaging it could be to be so fast that you're hasty.
Right.
And so for a cyber recovery, when you can't trust the data, the idea of moving as fast as possible without being hasty, it's a really delicate line. And I think that's one of the things we tried to recreate for the participants as part of this.
Well, and our team, we kind of were patting ourselves on the back because we thought that we were quickly recovering, and we identified a safe date that we could grab data. And as it turned out...
It was a delay, they got right back in.
They got us, So talk with me a little bit about Commvault's Threat Scan. I know this is something that is really pretty cool, so walk me through what that's all about.
Yeah, so one of the things that we do is help organizations understand, because in a cyber incident, you can't trust the data like you can in another kind of operational outage. Maybe
Right.
it's a natural disaster, or just, one of your regions of your cloud, went down or something like that. And in those cases, restoration processes where you trust the data, you can act swiftly and in a way where typically, you're failing over to an environment that's been replicated or what have you. Like, that could actually be really damaging in a cyber incident. In fact, it could be exactly what the bad actors want you to do.
Right.
So part of what we build into our platform is the ability to just constantly be looking for suspicious activity, so anomaly detection,
Right.
constantly looking for threats. This even includes part of our backend integration uses AI to look for AI driven threats as well. And so what we're doing is not only collecting that signal and highlighting it to the people who use our technology, but we also have integration. So we'll pass it back and forth, the likes of a Splunk or a
That
Crowd.
was my next question.
Yeah,
And those integrations, I think, make it even more powerful and attractive of a solution.
And it's for, at least for the recovery expert, to help identify the cleanest points of recovery, and then feeding it to the security teams so that they could use it to enrich their experience for, it might be forensics, it might be for isolation or something along those lines.
Okay, so my last question. Talk with me about Security IQ, the dashboard, and that really has some amazing bells and whistles. So let's close our conversation with you kind of walking me through that.
Yeah, so ultimately it's a dashboard that allows you to quickly get a sense of your risk and your data security and your cyber resilience posture. Are there portions of your estate, portions of the data across that estate that are either maybe poorly being protected or not adequately being protected? Maybe it's new data that popped on into the state, and it's not hasn't been snapped in your policies for restoration. Or maybe it's some of this anomalous behavior that we've detected in certain parts of the, let's say, backups or some of the data that you want to make sure that you can bring back. This dashboard highlights those sorts of things. So you have one place across your entire estate to get a sense of the most risky portions of what you're trying to protect for your organization.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Rewind, recover, rebuild.
Yep.
That's what you all ended this immersive session with, and I think it's just awesome. And it's clear that Commvault lets you rebuild cloud applications, infrastructure, and data continuously. And I think that's what everybody's looking for, right?
Well, thanks for joining us with it too, and
Absolutely.
having me.
It's been great. And if you didn't get a chip, if you're at RSAC, you get a chance to check out Recovery Range, do so. But I will also include a link to the Commvault website so that you can check it out yourself. And I suggest that you do. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Shelly.